Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, CO Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado in here. Got Scott Hartnell coming up. We got Confirm or Deny later in the hour. Chris Bassett will join us in an hour. Chris Bassett coming up. See how excited he is about the Jays offseason, and keep seeing rumors out there. Vladdy and the Jays are kicking tires, maybe on a long-term extension.
Man, those rumors, you like the juicy scoops, but they get to a point where if they're going on for a long enough time, it's like, I don't even want to, I can't even look at it.
Well, if you believe Vladdy that he will not negotiate beyond the opening of spring training, and I'm always reluctant to ever believe that.
I think any athlete, if there was enough money, they'd be like, okay.
Exactly. Like if you say, I'll sign for this number, and then they say, okay, we'll give it to you a week into spring training,
Bill
you're going to say
Kessel
no?
did that. He signed in Montreal before opening night.
Yeah, that was day of, the first game of the year in Montreal.
8 times 8.
Absolutely. But pitchers and catchers arrive in like 10 days. So if you believe what Vladdy is selling, then I guess the clock is ticking here. If they want to extend him before.
I think it's a great tool as a player. Like, you really value me? Watch out, because I could have a monster year and you're not talking to me. Don't even think about picking up the phone during the season.
That's the leverage a player has, is I'm about to play, and if I perform well, it's going to get louder and louder and louder. So you figure out what you want to do here. Yeah. And listen, the team, they got to think that through, because we just saw it with the Mavericks and Luka. Like, it's very similar. You referenced the similarities, like Vladdy and whether they trust him. Do they believe he's going to repay that $400 million or whatever they're going to pay him? It's a lot of money, man.
Think about a guy questioning a guy's work ethic and just commitment, and whether it's out of shape or falls asleep at second base in a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to hand over that guy who hasn't, proven it to us over a long duration, small samples? Do we want to hand him over $450 million? It's a massive commitment.
And you know what, though? If he goes out there and he plays the way he did last year in the MVP year, someone's going to. So I think at the end of the day, for him, he's like, listen, I'll bet on myself. I'll take care of my own backyard, and I know the money's going to be there, whether it's here or somewhere else. If they don't like the second base stuff,
but wouldn't there be buyer beware if you were another organization saying, because we live in a world of pro sports where if they believe in you and believe in the ability, you're locked up immediately. Immediately.
Yeah. But we also live in a world where there's always a team more desperate. Like the Cleveland Browns were so desperate they had to have Deshaun Watson. There's always a team desperate out there that says, we don't get a chance to sign a guy like this or bring in a guy like this, let's do it.
450 desperate?
I think baseball is different because you have the haves and the have-nots, and it's such a stark comparison between the two.
Yeah. There's Max Scherzer desperate. There's Santander desperate, but 450 is different desperate.
The Pirates could be desperate, but they're not handing over 450 sticks.
Right.
They're not handing over anything.
A certain amount of teams that are just not even included in the process, and we all know who they are. But I think what has become clear, and I think at times it gets lost in the conversation, is that it is a business and it's not personal, right? To steal a line from the Corleone family, it's strictly business, right? And it's a lot of money, and you have to evaluate whether you believe that player is going to repay you. Or sometimes it's not even about whether or not that player individually is going to repay you. Is it going to fit with the timeline? Does it work with other pieces? Is it going to affect our budget? And if we're paying this guy that much money, that's going to take away from two or three other positions. We're dealing with it in Toronto a lot right now. It's the same. Vladdy and Marner, two different teams, two different backgrounds, different players, but both of them are marquee. Both of them are homegrown. Both of them, the fans love them. They're both great players. Teams have different histories and are dealing with different things, but the Jays haven't won a thing with Vladdy, and the Leafs haven't won a thing with Marner. So it's not personal; it's business. How does it work? Different cap structures, clearly, because there is one in the NHL. There isn't one in baseball.
I'm so glad with my message to some Leaf fans, just casual talk, wherever I am out and about. It's like, I'm like, you can't fall in love with your own players. You have to understand your own players more than any other player throughout the league. And the moves of Rantanen and Doncic have proven that you don't have to be totally married, and you don't have to do anything. Because Leaf fans seem to have this idea that they have to do stuff. Oh, they better sign Marner. They better sign, or what? like maybe there's a different plan. There's a different idea. You can't be married to one concept and be like, we can't live with, like being married to a player or the idea of keeping a player. And like you just saw what the Dallas Mavericks did, man, or what the Colorado Avalanche did.
Well, and there's also this belief that, you know, you if you're the team, you have to sign that guy. Or else, or let's say, you know, I'm going to sign that guy and the fans are going to come follow along anyway. Well, that goes both ways. Like, if you don't sign the guy, the fans are still going to be there. They'll be pissed off. They're not going to stop coming or stop being fans.
There's always another
But guess
player.
what?
Yeah,
If you go sign 2 guys for the same amount of money that it would have taken you to sign 1 guy and you have success, everyone's going to be okay.
Exactly.
Cujo left Toronto. They brought in Ed Belfour, and everything was okay afterwards because Ed Belfour was very good here.
Yeah. Exactly. Like if you're a fan of the team before the player showed up, you'll still be a fan after. You may be bent out of shape, but they know that, and that's a two-way street.
I'll say one thing though: when Scotty Hartnell left Nashville, they could never ever replace him.
They're still paying that price.
Yeah.
Here he is, former Pred, former NHLer, NHL Network analyst, joining us on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Here's Scott Hartnell. What do you make of that,
guys,
Scotty?
what's going on?
What's happening? How you
going on,
doing,
fellas?
How you doing?
Just terrific. Yeah, I got a little late matchup working the Flyers game, their own Utah hockey club out there. So their first ever matchup out there. So
I like
just
it.
doing a little file room work, looking at their lineup, and the Flyers kind of depleted lineup. So,
Scotty, how do you think Kuzmenko and Torts mesh? Like, just give me a little bit of a. Give me a Kuzmenko Torts, like how this is going to go down.
I don't obviously know Kuzmenko. I know when he first came in the league, he was absolutely on fire, right? Almost 80 points in a full season in Vancouver, and then he slid a little bit the last couple of years. But there's Michkov here, there's Fedotov, there's Kolosov, the goalie, there's Igor Zamula on the back end. So there's really comfortability with those guys. So maybe he, comes in, feels really comfortable right off the bat, and he's playing for a contract, right? He's up, so going to be a UFA. So it's a little audition for him to be like, okay, let's see what you can do. And I know he's buddies with Matvei Michkov as well, so maybe that helps spark his game a little bit. Gets both those guys in the right track, and maybe it could be something great. But Torts doesn't. As you guys know, he doesn't pull any favorites. Everyone's what have you done for me lately, right? And whether a young stud like Michkov, or you're a veteran like a Joel Farabee who just got dealt, or Konechny, Kevin Hayes a couple of years ago, you can go right down to his whole coaching career. He's done it to stars, he's done it to all stars, he's done it to guys, tough guys, whatever. He doesn't pull any punches. Torts is in total control, and I think Rasmus Ristolainen, he's having one of his best years of his whole career. And he goes, I wish I would have had him when I was 18. And I said the same thing when Torts came in when I was 33 years old, set my ways. And I'm like, man, I wish somebody would have held me accountable for my bad penalties and made me, do this a little bit differently, maybe practice a little bit harder or whatever, right? So you think about those things when you're a little bit older, what could have been. But I think for these young kids, he's putting a good impression on it. Some people can handle it, some people can't, and that's the way it goes with Torts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious your take on what's going on in Buffalo the last 3 or 4 days, where we all saw, what happened in that Jersey game. Tage Thompson gets laid out, and there's no retribution. There's no real reaction from anybody on the ice. And now they've had, I guess, a closed-door meeting, and Lindy Ruff has read them the riot act, and now all these Sabres are coming out saying, we're never going to let that to happen again. Are they talking a little bit too much? Are you buying into this, Scott? And if so, how crazy is this going to get?
How crazy is it that you have to have that meeting?
Well, A, that you have to have the meeting, B, that you have to promote it to the whole league that you're never going to allow it to happen again.
Embarrassed?
Yeah, I'm curious how you would – I know how you would handle that if you're on the ice, but what do you – do the Sabres have to do something now to prove to the rest of the league that they're not soft? Is that what you're anticipating happening, or what do you make of this?
Well, you look through their lineup; they don't have any, in hashtags meat, if you will, right? That someone's going to come in, and absolutely, back in the day, Rob Ray and just some guys that you didn't fool around because, they were coming out next shift, right, to get you or call you out or whatever. And it's changed a little bit, right? And now if someone does have a big hit, you see it, kind of, with the Flyers, big hit on Owen Tippett. I forget, someone from the Islanders hit him, and you can't really do it. Sipakov hit Ryan Poehling. He's been in concussion protocol for, I believe it's a concussion anyway, for a couple, 3 weeks now. And they went after him, took a penalty, took another penalty, and the guy wasn't going to fight, right? So it's like you want to show some pushback. Obviously, 15, 20 years ago, the guy's going to, probably be eating his teeth, right, if you will, in that respect. But to have nothing going on, that's maybe shows a little bit of the character in the room. And I don't know, many of the guys have been out of the league a little time now, but you got to, even if you're not a tough guy, you got to go do something to somebody and call somebody out, and someone's going to drop the mitts to kind of show that you have a little heart, a little kind of pissed offness, if you will, to stick up for one of your best players, one of the best players on your team, right?
Well, even if it's a pack mentality, right? Like, not everyone's good at fighting, comfortable with fighting, but if you know that you and 3 other guys are going to jump in there and someone's going to have your back, you walk a little bigger. And, one of the teams that I think was always had that makeup is Tampa Bay, right? Like, anything went down with Tampa, it was like everyone's in there on the scrum.
It didn't matter who, Point,
Stamkos, Kucherov. Kucherov's in the middle of all kinds of stuff. Those guys are in Boston, same deal. Funny, both those teams out of a playoff spot right now. The Rangers out of a playoff spot. Like, Scotty, if you're looking at the Eastern Conference standings, which everyone's doing every day, 3 legacy teams out of the playoffs right now. Like, how many of these teams will remain out of the playoffs in your opinion?
I think the Rangers get in somehow.
Really?
They're only, 4 points in. I think, how well they played, since they lost, whatever was it, 13 in a row or a couple points in however many games. It was like dire straits. They stuck with it. I think they're going to be there at the end of the day. Adding Miller, I think, helps them hugely up the middle. Had a good start his first couple games back. Their goal is too good. Their defense, I think, is solid enough to kind of ride the waves. Zibanejad can't be as bad as he's been, the first 50 games of the season, right? So I think they'll be there. I think the Islanders will fizzle out. Canadians, they had a good charge there for a while. They're done. And then you look at Tampa and Boston, that they're, who knows how hot the Red Wings can be, right? They've been playing really great. Ottawa, those are the 2 teams, Ottawa and Detroit. Those are the 2 teams we've been waiting for probably 3 years now, being like, which team is going to overpower one of those powerhouses in that division, right? Tampa, Boston, maybe this is the year where they make some strides and get in. So it could throw a little bit of a mix-up in the matchups for playoffs, which is great for the league, right? Yeah, you don't want, Tampa winning every year, getting to the conference finals and, 3 finals in a row, win a couple, no big deal. I like the parity is great, obviously. It's been a little bit of a cakewalk for those couple teams that have always been in. Toronto's in there, but they can't seem to knuckle down in the playoffs. I think that might be a little bit different picture this year with Craig Berube behind the bench. But I kind of like having some different teams in there, even in the mix, right? These last, 2 months of the season, you got another 10 days left here before the break, or a week before the break, take a couple weeks off, and everyone's going to be ramped up here for the next 6-7 weeks. So it's going to be some great hockey.
Scotty, you just mentioned the Rangers, and they just acquired JT Miller. How crazy did you find that scenario? I mean, I'm sure as long as you played, you probably had the odd teammate here or there that you were just like, that's just not for me. But when it comes to hockey, we're teammates, we're going to let it slide. Like, how shocking was that development out in Vancouver for you?
Yeah, once again, I'm not sure. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure all the details or what happened or where things went wrong between 2 stud players, right? But for me, it's if you have a disgruntled couple guys or one guy, it's somebody has to make the move, right? And whoever's at fault, it doesn't really matter. You're pros, you have to move on, right? There are some guys that I I usually got along with everyone. My personality, you guys know, it's a happy-go-lucky guy. A couple guys that I, despise where I'm at. I couldn't even look at them in the dressing room just because, what they did, something personal or whatever. And at the rink, you're going to pass to him on the ice if he's open. He's going to do the same. But, as for off the ice, you just kind of, look the other way, right? And like I said, I didn't do that to too many guys, but something had to change, something had to go on, and we'll see how it works out in the long run. But I think it's a big ad for Drury and the Rangers. So they're a team that's kind of they have everything to get there. Heck, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, so they need to kind of get back to their winning ways, and I think they'll get there because they got too much high-end skill. Panarin, Zibanejad, Miller, Corrado, those guys, I think there's too much heat up there for them to kind of fizzle out, I believe.
Without naming any names, was there ever a guy on all the teams that you played on that you're just like, the guy didn't do anything wrong to me? There's just something about him I just don't like. Something about his face, something about the way he talks. I can't get over it. I just don't like this guy.
Maybe a little bit. Guys that you trade for at the deadline deal, and you're like, God, we got this guy. Jeez, I just absolutely fought him, or he sticked me in the teeth. Last game we played him, or it might have been 2 years ago. And you're like, oh God! And then you get to meet him, and you're like, this guy's the best. This guy, I'll tell you his name, Max Talbot. Yeah, he came to the Flyers, and I'm like, man, this guy is so funny. This guy is hilarious. Go for dinners and this and that, and it was funny, right? And then you hated playing against him, but when he's on your team, just kind of, I was a little bit of a rat playing. He was a rat, so we got along pretty good, him and I. So that was fun. That was funny.
Yeah, you see that you usually hear the guys that fought or used to hit or chirp each other all the time, and then they just become buddies like immediately, right when they're kind of acquired or on the same team or in the same room. It's amazing. With Scott Hartnell.
No, it is true.
So I think Ovechkin's 18 off Gretzky, right? 18 off with 30 games to go, and they're cruising towards the playoffs. They're going to be likely the top seed in the East. How do you see him playing this? In other words, is he chasing Gretzky this year, or load management down the stretch, preparing for the playoffs? What do you think is going to happen with Alex Ovechkin?
I don't think. I think load management is a phrase they use in NBA, a little bit of Major League Baseball, things like that, and maybe a little bit of NFL. Like when you're cruising into the playoffs, you don't want your big dogs to get hurt. Ovechkin, he's a different breed, as we all know. He's an animal. He hits, he fights, or not fights, but he hits hard. He scores, he battles. He's out there, in almost every situation. I don't think he has that in his DNA to be like, hey, I'm going to take a couple off ones here. Maybe you'll see it on a back-to-back, but, just looking ahead, he plays the Flyers here in Philadelphia on Thursday. I bet he'll be just chomping at the bit to play Philly. Not to laugh at the Flyers, but, they haven't scored many goals lately, but given up quite a few. So, one of those games he's going to have circled on his calendar. So, I'm not sure if he'll get it here in the last, what do they got, 30 games left, something like that?
Yep, 30. Yep.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting, right? It's a goal every 2 games almost, and he's been on a pace probably almost like that his whole career. So it doesn't seem the way he started this year before his broken leg that he was on that pace. So I wouldn't put it past the absolute beast.
When you look at the best teams in the Eastern Conference, does the Rantanen trade change anything for you, how you view those teams? Does Carolina become, the leader of the pack because they have him, or do you feel like it is anyone's race at this point when it comes to the top teams?
I definitely do like Carolina. It was a trade I don't know if anyone saw coming, but you're adding this guy for the short term. This is all it. I'm sure they're going to try and sign him, and sure he's going to want, 14, 15 sheets, right? But I think the team for me is Florida. They just seem to keep getting better and better. Bobrovsky's unbelievable. It seems like they're getting depth scoring from, their top 3 lines. So you got to beat the best team, right? They've been one of the best teams the last couple of years, in the Eastern Conference and winning last year. So, Capitals, I love what they're doing. They're playing great. I think if they get in a 7-game series against the Carolina in the second round, it's going to be a tough ask for them. I think anyway.
Okay. All right, Scotty. We appreciate you doing this as always, man. We'll do it again down the road. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Anytime, fellas. Love you.
There's Scott Hartnell of the NHL Network joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Count on Maple Toyota for the right winter tire package for your Toyota. Trade in your old tires, buy a new set, and get $40 back. Visit mapletoyota.com. Carolina's in Winnipeg tonight. Hellebuck not playing. So Carolina's actually favored in the game. But, yeah, Rantanen,
I don't know, Carolina, you talk about goals. Do they think they're done? They need to get at least one more D.
Dude, they need John Gibson. Go get John
They need
Gibson.
a goalie is what they need.
If they're going to trust Freddie Anderson and the Russian kid again this year in the playoffs, they're completely lunatics down there if they do that. How many years can you keep trusting that? Stop it.
I hear you.
You went and got Rantanen. Now finish the job or give yourself the best chance.
And the other thing, this John Gibson thing, it's like remember the Guns N' Roses album that was supposed to come out for 10 years and it never was. It called Chinese Democracy or something. It feels like the John Gibson trade. We've been talking about it for years and it's never happened.
For years that guy's been rumored to be
now.
traded.
They have the young guy Dostal there. You don't necessarily need him. You're going to get a haul because all these teams think they're in the mix and they need teams might need a goaltender.
There's not that much left on his deal, is there?
Well, that's the thing. Now it's been chipped away at that it's not such an insurmountable contract that you can't absorb it. This has got to be the year someone goes and gets that guy. And why wouldn't it be Carolina?
Yeah.
They need a goalie and you're right. Double down on it, triple down on it.
Do you have faith that John Gibson will perform in the playoffs?
Absolutely not. But go get him.
Exactly. I don't know how much faith I would have in
When was
that.
the last time you played a playoff game?
I don't know.
When's the last time you played a stretch of games where you were like, wow?
That's
Maybe it's
the
not John
problem.
Gibson.
Yeah, and I don't know who else is out there. San Jose's already traded Blackwood.
Yeah.
Who else is really tanking? Buffalo doesn't have anyone they're going to trade or you're looking for.
Yeah, but maybe we're wrong on John Gibson because Blackwood, I said it last year, I'm like, Mackenzie Blackwood, what exactly do you see in him? He gets to Colorado, he looks pretty good.
And to be fair, Anaheim's been awful for a long time.
Dude,
so
he gets torched playing for Anaheim year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
He finally got a little reprieve now because this kid plays Dostal. But if he goes to Carolina, he's playing in a very goaltender-friendly environment, right? They don't give up a ton. Anderson's looked good there. Kochetkov has looked good there. Spencer Martin won games for them this year. Tokarski had to go in.
They always do during the regular season in Carolina.
Right,
they
but
always
it's a good system for a goalie to play in and have success.
Yeah, for sure. You put someone in Carolina, they're going to perform. It's just a matter of whether or not, who you're going to run into in the playoffs. Right now, it looks like they'll probably play Jersey in the first round. So I guess you're looking at Markstrom, who's injured right now.
Now you're looking at him. You play Jersey in the first round. You better have somebody that can answer Markstrom.
Well, let me ask you
two guys
this.
they don't have.
For a guy that's been playing on a team that's been out of the mix for so long, don't you think he gets there and he's all juiced up, little just revitalized, got a little more purpose, something to play for? That's got to do something to a guy.
Yeah, you would think so for sure. And that's amazing. Washington's 7 points clear of Carolina. It's basically a formality that they're just going to end up with that top seed. So probably Carolina, Jersey, and as for the 2-3, the Atlantic is still wide open.
That Washington team with 75 points right now, that has got to be, standings-wise, one of the more shocking developments since I've been an analyst.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be garbage this year and last year.
They backdoored in last year, and they got pumped in the first round by New York. Yeah, and listen, to their credit, they hit the ground running. They defend well. They're big. Thompson's been really good.
Incredible team game.
Yeah. Everything across the board is just everything has been elite. It has to be for you to run off numbers like that.
And dude, talk about breaking narratives. That's a guy gets an opportunity to be a first-time NHL head coach. Last year they make the playoffs. This year, they're hit off and running. I don't know.
Coach of the year.
Something we said. It's every once in a while you can go to that kind of coach and have success.
I think he's the coach of the year, slam dunk, Spencer Carberry. I'll tell you what. The Ottawa Sens get in with no goaltender, if their starting goaltender out for that long. You got to throw Travis Green's name into the ring.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, he checks off every box that,
like for a team that could never defend and could never get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great job he's done there.
Well, and remember they had issue. We had Travis on a couple weeks ago when they had lost a bunch of games, and the issue was they could not score. They could not score, and now it's all it's coming back now. Like everything's evening out. They had 7 on Mini. They had 5 last night. Kachuk is back in the game sheet. Everyone's starting to contribute again. Norris avoided injury. They were worried about that.
Well, he's out. Yeah, it's not the shoulder, which is good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. If it was the shoulder, that would have been bad news Bears. I think
that
it's just
Nashville
an abdominal.
team last night, though.
Well, they're it's over, man.
Else, man.
Yeah.
What, man?
Like you look at league wide, it's very clear who the worst teams in the league are. Like San Jose is tanking. Chicago they fired their coach in Chicago as if that was going to make a difference.
That's embarrassing.
It really is. But Chicago and San Jose are clearly the 2 worst teams, and then Nashville is clearly the 3rd worst team. Like in terms of standings, that is what is going to happen here. It's going to be San Jose, Chicago, Nashville.
You come out in the press and you say, I just didn't think our record, I didn't think we were as bad as a last place team, and they continue to be worse than a last place team.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself under direct fire.
Absolutely. Like you bring up your American Hockey League coach in Chicago thinking what? And he's probably thinking, okay, I guess I get in the NHL. This is great. But what the hell am I supposed to do with this team? You think I'm turning this team around? They're brutal.
You know what sucks for that guy? He'll get that situation. He'll get torpedoed by the team that he has, and he'll never get another sniff because it's like, yeah, you got your shot.
You know how many times I've had this job, people have called me and said, what do you think about this job? I said, don't even think about going there. If that's your first crack at it.
Yeah.
You're just going to get gassed and you'll never coach in the league again because you'll have to wear that team.
Yeah, it stings. Yeah, but a lot of games in the NHL tonight. Leafs Flames tonight on TSN 4. Have a great panel night tonight. Quiz night? Has to be quiz.
There's going to be an outstanding quiz.
Dude, I was just, before we go to break, I was just in the Quizmaster's office. He's got a whiteboard with... It's crazy with the operation in there with the whiteboard.
Dude, do you think you think I don't know about that whiteboard? That whiteboard, I've had nightmares about that whiteboard.
Well, and we're getting close to trade deadline too, right?
Why.
That's when the whiteboard starts shifting, man. You start seeing things in the background in terms of the plans and how it's going to map out.
Dude, we were going through language on scouting reports, how to differentiate certain things, and it was a lot of whiteboard talk.
Whiteboard's big around there. It's a big whiteboard kind of territory right now. Big time in TSN. All right, confirm and deny coming up. Chris Bassett of the Blue Jays in just over half an hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Oh, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. We know the way this works, right? Very simple stuff. Statements are made. We either confirm them or we deny them. Frankie, you've done this many times in the past. Right? This is not your first rodeo.
No, very familiar with this.
You know the way it works.
Yeah.
All right, so let's begin with the news of the week. Luka Doncic. Confirm or deny, Luka will now be the face of the NBA for the next decade.
Ooh. I'll deny it still, even though he plays for the Lakers and there's going to be a certain amount of exposure that comes with that. But Nikola Jokic is still around. There's Giannis is still there's enough of a
Wemby's
stable,
coming too. Wemby feels
thing.
like the guy who could really pursue face of the league.
And San
status.
Antonio's it's not a super small market. Like when San Antonio was cooking and Tim Duncan was in the league, it was very much a face just like Kobe or anyone else. So I'll deny it. I think there's still a stable of young guys or guys in that same kind of age demographic that will be what Luka is.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching his presser today, and I've seen him interviewed, and I've seen him interacting with media. He's really not very personable. He's a pretty shy guy, and he was not. I'm sure he's shell shocked, Of course he's shell-shocked. Like, he even was saying today, he's like, I can't believe it. Loyalty, I love Dallas. Oh, all these different things. As if, he hasn't completely overcome the shock and I guess the disappointment of what happened. But I will confirm it because of the Lakers. Like, the Laker brand is just bigger than anything else in the NBA. It's bigger than the Celtics, bigger than the Knicks, bigger than the Heat, Bulls, anything. And it is contingent on him performing and him signing a long-term deal. I think.
What about being healthy?
Well, that's a big part of it. I think that's a part of it, but it's not as valued anymore in the NBA because nobody's healthy all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody's healthy. And I look at who he's competing with. If there were an American player that was like an alpha, like a top 3 player in the league, then I would say it's more likely an American player playing in the States, probably get some more pub. But that's not the case right now. This league is run by Luka. It's run by Jokic. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's likely going to win the MVP.
Exactly.
There's a Canadian. Wemby's French. It's a real different era in the NBA. But I think the fact that he's with the Lakers, and if he performs, I think that's just unbeatable, man. Like, it just feels like number 1 in jersey sales, number 1 in prime time. Everything about him will be nonstop.
And you know what's crazy? Even if he doesn't perform, let's say he's got like a bad luck with health or doesn't perform, which I think if he's healthy, he will perform. He's talked about every single day off the top of the show. You name the show.
Yeah.
Sports Center, Get Up, First Take. Like, we got to talk about the Lakers, and who are we talking about? Luka.
Who is the quarterback of the Cowboys and who's the superstar on the Lakers? Like, in the U.S., that is always that's 1A and 1B, generally. Like, in terms of positions, in terms of profiles, it's always going to get it. And I think Luka, presuming he stays there long term, then that's what's going to happen here. All right, confirm or deny, both the Ottawa Senators and the Detroit Red Wings make the playoffs.
Ooh. I've been wrong on so many of these, and it's starting to really grind me. I'm confirming Ottawa, and I want to confirm Detroit, but that means
Ottawa. That means Boston, Tampa. Like, one of them is out.
I think Tampa gets in, Boston misses. So I'll confirm it lightly. A light confirmation.
Light confirmation.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever been done on this show. Probably should never be done again, but I think Ottawa's making it. They're legit. They're good defensively. Like, their numbers under the hood defensively are better than Toronto's.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the numbers which suggest they are a better defensive team than the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they haven't scored, like, they haven't outscored their, what they're producing necessarily. So Ottawa is sustainable. They get good goaltending. The thing with Detroit is I don't want to fall victim to what the Canadians just did.
Exactly.
That's the thing that holds me back. It's like, okay, is this just like a month stretch where you caught a heater, or are you actually for real? But, like, I don't believe in Boston. I think the Marchenko injury is going to be detrimental for Columbus.
Could be at a month, maybe, they're saying.
Don't believe the Rangers and the Islanders don't score enough for me. So there's a viable avenue for Detroit to make it.
I'm going to deny it. I'm with you in terms of Ottawa. I think they've earned it. They've earned that respect. Now, they're red hot right now. They've won 5 in a row. That Montreal example, I think, is key here. 2 weeks ago, the Habs were the it team that had played themselves in, and they were for real, and look what they've got, and Dobish is legit, and Montembeau's playing for Canada, and everything's going to work out, and Laine's a stud. 2 weeks later, they've lost 5 in a row, and it's like they're out. They're done. It's over.
They're on life support.
They're on life support, and I still feel like Detroit is going to hit some sort of a wall. They've won 6 in a row, and they're winning game. Like, they were down 2-0 in Edmonton. They stormed back and win in overtime. Like, they're doing it in ways that scream heater, everything breaking our way, and I think that will come to an end. And they'll continue to battle, but they're playing above their weight class, in my opinion. But if both of them got in, then that means, like, Tampa's probably out, Boston's out, the Rangers are out, or Columbus is out. Maybe one of them can get in. And I can't get to that point yet. There's been too much jockeying for position. I think it's going to come down to the last 5 games, which is going to be incredible theater.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying that both Ottawa and Detroit come out from basically out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like 2 months ago, Ottawa was second last in the East. And they've hit a heater. They're red hot. They played themselves back into it. Same with Detroit. It's just, I've seen it too much this year to believe that this is the one that's actually legit.
Let me throw a Jerry's at you. Of Tampa, Boston, and the Rangers, what's the percentage that 2 out of those 3 miss the playoffs?
Ooh, it's high, man. It's 9. I'd say 85%.
So only one of those teams is getting in.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not that high. Maybe it's not that high, but it has to be. There's 30 games left. Like, it's not
60s,
November
low
anymore.
70s,
yes,
right? Like,
for
there's
sure.
a very legitimate chance that this is going to happen.
For sure.
2 of those 3 are missing.
Like, New York's been out all year.
Yeah.
I know they're the Rangers, and now they got JT Miller. At no point have they been in a playoff position. Like, they've been out for months.
Basically, since the first month of the season.
Yeah.
November, they were terrible. December, they were terrible.
Yeah. Like, they get the pub because of who they are and their history and what they've done the last couple of years and their goalie and the market and all that. They have not been a legitimate team in months. So I'll believe it when I see it with New York that they come out of this. Boston's dealing with injuries, and they've never hit the ground running, man.
Boston's
they just
minus 26 goal differential.
Yeah, and that's the crazy
man.
thing. Tampa's like plus 30 something.
That's the thing. Like, that's if you're going to look at one stat that could give you an indicator of whether a team is going to make it or not, like, that would be the one.
Yes,
Tampa's making it.
Yeah, I think you're right, but that means, again, if they get in, if it's going to be Washington, Carolina, Jersey. Let's say it's Toronto, Florida, Tampa, and we think Ottawa's getting in. You're talking about one spot, right? And
this is the year. 5 from the Atlantic, 3 from the Metro.
Could be. Yeah, it could. I mean, at this point, it feels like, again, Columbus, to their credit, it's been an incredible story.
They've overcome so much.
But I feel like they're probably going to leak some oil at some point. Confirm or deny, Alex Ovechkin should go all out to chase Gretzky's record this season instead of resting up for the playoffs.
Confirm, of course. Alex Ovechkin is not sitting out games. Like, he's never really been in the business of sitting out. He's hardly been injured. And, with him chasing history, it feels like that's sort of rejuvenated the group in a way where it's like, they've got this thing that they're chasing, but they're also playing great hockey. It hasn't distracted them at all. In fact, it's probably motivated those guys in ways. So I don't for a second think that Alex Ovechkin is going to take a second off of this chase.
Yeah, it does go against the kind of hockey mentality, though, the team first mentality. Like, they're first in the East. This isn't them backdooring into the playoffs, and they know they're not that good. Don't you think they have to have legitimate cup aspirations by now?
Oh,
they should.
Yeah.
So, like,
they got the goalie.
He's the captain of the team. I'm not saying, keep playing. Of course he's going to play, but maybe down the stretch he plays 15 minutes a night instead of 20.
Dude, would you want to see that? You, of all people, that, like, bangs the drum of load management.
I know, I hate
Alex
it.
Ovechkin.
I hate it.
He plays, by the way, 2 minutes on every power play.
Yeah.
Not a minute 58. Probably 2 and change because he stays out a little extra on the other side.
Absolutely, he does. And if there's a goalie pulled, his leg is already over the boards.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going out there and I'm trying to score an empty net goal. No one does it better right now.
Yeah.
I will confirm that he will chase. I do actually think it can have somewhat of a positive effect on the team as well, that it will be a distraction from them being concerned about the playoffs in a weird way. Like, let's allow Ovi to do his thing within the realm of the team. I mean, it can't be stupid, and it has not been stupid at any point this year.
No, it hasn't.
But there's a real chance this guy's a goal or two away with like 3 games to go. If it continues on this pace, he very well could be in a position to do that. Then what do? Do you play him 25 minutes? The guy's 39, and you're going to be the top seed in the East. It will be a conversation that will be had at some point down the stretch.
I think you just play him the normal amount.
Yeah.
Just,
which means it's not load management, but it's also not stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if he doesn't do it this year, boy, they're going to market. They're going to market that all summer.
Well, that's the thing. If it does make me wonder, if I'm the Capitals, is it better to wait for next year? Because then you can market all throughout the summer, the ticket sales, the ticket drives, that you got to be there for Ovi. It sets up beautifully in terms, like, if he's like 2 or 3 goals off, he's going to do it in the first 5 games, 10 games of the season.
You know what? I think if the national rights holders in the States want, like, they're obviously going to want to have that game, they got to let Joe B have the call. Like, the Caps play-by-play guy, he's legendary, man. He's been there for all of them. They got to let Joey B have the call on it.
Let him just continue. He's got to be a part of it in some capacity, is what you're saying.
This guy's called every Ovechkin goal, and this is the biggest one in the history of the game. You gotta.
I don't know if he's going to knock off ESPN or
Ovechkin.
TNT or whatever. I don't know.
He's
Get
got
him on.
such a legendary call, too.
Yeah, I hear it, man. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, confirm or deny, the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Chiefs will be considered a shock by the general public. The perception of the loss or for the Chiefs or win by the Eagles will be deemed a shock.
Yeah, confirm that. It has to be. Like, the thing about the Chiefs is it almost feels like they have the recipe to win in any condition. And you have to be, like I heard the guys in the morning talking about it, like you have to be perfect to beat Mahomes, to beat Andy Reid, to beat them in the big moment. And if Mahomes has the ball last and the game is within reach, like, you're screwed. And I don't know if the Eagles are going to be able to, in this big moment, put the game out of reach so that doesn't play in as a factor.
Yeah.
So it has to be considered a shock. I think everyone's looking at it thinking, well, it's Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to confirm it as well, even though I don't think it'll be perceived that way within the NFL, I guess.
Right.
Because and within the gambling world on FanDuel, it's a 1.5 point spread. Like, that's what it has been since the second we knew who was playing. Last Sunday night, FanDuel put it up. Chiefs -1.5. It has not moved.
Have guys fallen off, though? Have there been injuries? I haven't heard like that. And maybe that has something
I
to
think
do with
everyone's pretty much ready to go. Yeah. And the Eagles were the 2 seed in the NFC. They were a really good team. They've been dismantling teams throughout the playoffs. They're loaded with talent. But I think the perception, and justifiably so, is that the Chiefs you cannot penetrate that. There's a reason why they win all the time, and you expect them to win. And now there's this it's rigged narrative, like everything's going to break their way, and there's a lot of people that believe that. And it's not only about beating the Chiefs, you got to beat the whole ecosystem in the NFL. And
you got to beat Taylor Swift.
You got to beat Taylor Swift.
No one can beat Taylor Swift.
Exactly. And that's I think what the reaction is going to be.
Is there a line?
How could anyone see this coming?
Is there a line on Taylor Swift making an appearance at the halftime show? Because she's got that song with Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, they got a big song together.
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
Show.
Well, I can't imagine, man. And if you're Kendrick Lamar, I don't think you want Taylor Swift coming out, because then that overshadows everything.
No one cares about Kendrick Lamar.
Nobody cares about you.
I don't think anyone cares about Kendrick Lamar anyway.
I don't know how this guy's doing the halftime show.
I don't know.
Like, I'm Team Drake on this one. Get Drake out there.
Dude,
that'd be a great story. Get Drake to go and knock Kendrick Lamar off and do the halftime show.
We just fire up like an old school rock band, like 3 guitars,
never
bass,
happens.
A drums, and just put on a kick-ass show.
They don't. That never happens. It's always either pop or hip hop.
Yeah.
Like the one in LA a couple years ago was pretty awesome with Dre and I think Eminem was there, Snoop Dogg was there, 50 Cent. That one was cool. And The Weeknd did one year. That was really cool. Justin Timberlake years ago was unreal. But it's always pop. It's never rock or hard. They got away from that, because it used to be that. Like, it would be McCarthy or the Eagles.
Remember,
or something.
and then Prince did it. Like, Prince was one of the best of all time.
Prince was great at it. But Kendrick Lamar, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Like, I don't.
Big rock band. But there's no great rock bands anymore.
That's the thing. Who are you going to?
You're
who
pulling
are you putting
someone
in there?
from the old days, really.
Yeah, and then that's not what they're looking for. Yeah. Like, Kendrick Lamar is very modern and very popular right now.
Yeah.
In terms of pop culture, the guy's incredibly relevant. All right, Chris Bassett coming up in about 20 minutes. We'll ask him, confirm or deny, you like the offseason so far here in Toronto with the Blue Jays.
You can ask him that?
Yeah. Confirm or deny. We'll play confirm or deny with Bassett. What are we, 10 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting? So I'm sure he's ready to go. We'll catch up with him in about 20 minutes. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Chris Bassett coming up next Thursday. Pitchers and catchers reporting down in Dunedin. See what is going on with him as you build up towards that. You know what it's like. First day of camp, right? Physicals, weigh-ins, first impressions. Like, is it you just dieting right now? Is it the sauna? Are you trying to shave weight? Like, where is your head at as a professional athlete?
Most guys are pretty dialed in now, man.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a clip that Nikita Kucherov takes like 2 weeks off and then he's just back on skates. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, those days of guys sweating it out before training camp, just there's too much money on the line.
Well, that's
Why
true.
risk it?
Yeah. And other guys are doing it too, right? You got teammates that are looking at you saying, what are you doing? Like, why were you not a professional all offseason?
And honestly, like if you're sweating out like an extra pound, you're screwed. You just are. Like if you're trying to go in the sauna every day because you got to shed 1 pound, what are we talking about? Like,
yeah, that does seem a little bit excessive. All right, we sent Dal's brother out into the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. You have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. Are you ready for the second clue of the week?
Hey, OverDrive fans, it's Tuesday, which means I got another clue for you to get you one step closer to finding out where is Al's brother and scoring those Leafs and Sharks tickets for March 3rd. Here is your Tuesday clue. Valentine's Day is coming up next week, and I'm thinking I want to impress my lady with a home-cooked meal. And I've heard that there's some nice cooking classes at this establishment.
Al's brother, man, fighting it out. Dude, he sounds awful right now.
He might have to get in the sauna.
He might have to get into the sauna. Yeah, he'll be ready for Friday, though, when we do our picks. Al's brother will be locked in, as always. Tune in tomorrow for another clue, and the first caller through on Friday with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see Leafs Sharks March 3rd. Find Al's brother, brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora, our family, the Ford family, and you. All right, Chris Bassett coming up. Mike Johnson from Calgary ahead of Leafs Flames tonight on TSN 4. Final hour up next. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.